Welcome back, everybody. Today, I'm recommending one of my favorite games of all time, Dota 2. Even if I don't manage to persuade you to download the game and try it for yourself, I hope to at least explain why it is so beloved by showing off just a few of its complexities. I grinded this game pretty seriously in the past, to the point where it was practically the only video game that I played for some number of years. Back then, I was obsessed with ranked matchmaking and watching my ratings slowly but steadily increase. I recently returned to the game and have been playing it casually with friends for a few months, and I'm currently having some of the most fun that I've ever experienced with multiplayer games. Dota 2 is a cooperative strategy game where two teams of 5 combat each other in order to destroy the opposing team's Ancient. Each player selects a unique hero from a massive roster, diligently amasses gold, and acquires items to strengthen their hero. Battles are fought all over the map until one team can overpower the other and use their momentum to break into the enemy base. The best way to learn about the game is obviously to play it, and Valve has finally implemented a satisfactory tutorial for new players. You don't have to feel pressured about playing against other humans. You can play alone with 9 computer-controlled heroes or on a team of humans versus computers. There are also plenty of online resources and communities to either educate or entertain you, and I'll share some of those later. Dota has seen many changes and overhauls in the 12 years that I've known it. The map has received drastic makeovers, new objectives have been added, which add to the strategy component of the game, and heroes have been tweaked and refashioned to maintain a fun and balanced game. The most important thing to note is the abundance of quality of life features that exist. You see this little creature? This is a courier, and it's used to ferry items from the shop to your hero. We used to play with a single courier per team, which some poor sap on the team had to buy and then upgrade. But now, every player begins the game with their own personal butler. This area is referred to as the Fountain. It's where your hero spawns at the beginning of the game and where you'll respawn upon every subsequent death. This used to be a farmer's market for the enemy team when they were stomping you. If they were sufficiently overpowered, then they had free reign to enter your fountain, pick and choose which heroes looked the tastiest, and then massacre you. You can imagine that such an experience wouldn't be very fun for the team on the receiving end of that brutality, so Valve implemented invulnerability when you respawn. Now, winning teams have no choice but to promptly end games rather than prolong your torture. In my opinion, the changes that have affected the game the most have to do with the amounts of gold given to all heroes. It used to be that only certain heroes, referred to as core heroes, got to enjoy the game to the fullest extent because they were the ones tasked with slaying creeps, these little minions that periodically spawn and march towards the enemy base, and collecting the resulting gold bounties. Cores were fortunate in that they could afford all kinds of fancy, powerful items, but the supports on the team, who were tasked with protecting their cores and not killing creeps, were doomed to live in poverty. 4 expensive items for this hero, but only 1 cheap item for that hero. It was really bad, but that's no longer the case. While core and support roles remain unchanged, you now receive more gold from a passive income and from killing enemy heroes. The map has also been greatly expanded, leaving plenty of opportunities for supports to farm for gold without it negatively affecting their cores. Another reason why I say that now is a great time to get into Dota is because Dota's annual, most prestigious tournament, the International, is currently ongoing. You can tune in on both Twitch and YouTube. This is when the very best teams in the world compete for millions of dollars, and even if you've never watched Dota before, the broadcasters and commentators, many of which are former pros, do a fantastic job of delivering digestible, high-level insight. You can be a seasoned Dota nerd like me and appreciate the superb coordination that only a team of expert individuals can execute, or you can be a fledgling player, hungry to learn the best strategies so that you can implement them in your own games. That's how I accelerated my improvement in my earliest years of playing. There exist different tiers of professional competition, and there are far more incredible teams than just the ones who qualify for the International. If you continue to crave pro play, then I recommend checking out the other tournaments on Liquipedia. The same teams that you'll become familiar with during the International will typically appear in the remainder of the Tier 1 and Tier 2 tournaments, while Tier 3 will feature teams on the fringes of the highest level. It's interesting to see how teams from different regions tend to prioritize different heroes in their drafts. Let's take a look at what truly makes Dota such an addicting game to play. It's heroes. As I explained before, Dota has a mix of core heroes and support heroes, and these can be further broken down into the safe lane carry, the mid lane, the off lane, the soft support, and the hard support. Players colloquially refer to these positions as 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, which correspond to the role's designated farm priority. For example, if the map only has a few safe locations to farm for gold, then you would want to prioritize the wallet of your 1 or hard carry first. After that, the 2 or mid laner. After that, the 3 or off laner. And then the soft support, and then the hard support. But why is that? Why can't every hero or player on the team equally share the gold? There are very few standard hero templates in Dota. Some heroes, like Juggernaut, have abilities that enhance or utilize his right click or auto attack potential. This is a good indication that he's suited to the carry role, which is responsible for dishing out tons of damage and acts as the primary killer versus the enemy team. You want heroes like Juggernaut to get a lot of farm around the map and for them to convert that gold into damage dealing items, and for them to eliminate the opposition with ease. If your carries have good games, then you should have good games as well. Spellcasters have arsenals of magical abilities that can negatively affect the enemies, deal huge amounts of damage, or both. Because their abilities typically don't scale as well with items compared to right clicks, they aren't given the same farm priority as their hard carry counterparts. My favorite spellcaster for dealing massive, magical damage is Invoker. He has twice as many abilities as a normal hero, and choosing which ones best suit the given situation is what makes him so much fun to play. Other spellcasters have tremendous utility with their abilities. Lion, for example, can control heroes with his stun or his hex, which makes him perfect for the support role. Another incredibly fun and unique aspect of Dota is how so many abilities interact with the map. You can see that the playing field is dotted with hundreds of trees. Hoodwink is an elusive hero that can stun enemies by ensnaring them against nearby trees. Timbersaw, the mechanical menace, can zip from tree to tree with his hookshot. Slardar is the only hero who benefits from playing in the map's river. When in water, he becomes buffed up with bonus movement speed, attack damage, armor, and health regeneration. Finally, the map even has a day and night cycle. Heroes like Dawnbreaker, Mirana, Luna, and Night Stalker all benefit from the time of day or changing cycle in some way. Dota is a phenomenal game because people at all skill levels can enjoy it. At the lowest level, players only need to concern themselves with how their heroes operate and eventually destroying the enemy ancient. Around the average skill level, everyone has a general understanding of most heroes in the game, are familiar with most items, and can coordinate to pursue other objectives on the map, such as the Tormentor. The Tormentor is a relatively new structure that punishes players who try to assault it in small numbers, but if you can rally your team to destroy it, then a random teammate will be granted a boon that upgrades one of their abilities. In higher ranks of Dota, but still far from the professional level, players tend to be specialized with particular heroes, more knowledgeable about the game's myriad of mechanics, and better at coordinating abilities of the teammates to create devastating combinations in combat. Maybe I'm playing Enigma, and my teammate on Kunkka could be waiting in the tree line for me to initiate an engagement. After I blink in and catch the enemy team in a black hole, he follows up with a fleet of ghost ships that crash into the enemies for a ridiculous amount of damage. In this clip, I turn a bad fight around with Magnus using his reverse polarity ability, which pulls all enemy units towards me. In this next clip, my friend playing Axe catches a clump of enemies unaware and taunts them. While the enemies are unable to do anything but attack him, our teammates join the fray and obliterate the opposition. What I especially enjoy between all of the chaotic team fights is the number of small optimizations that I can make to facilitate my growth during the game. I can use my hero to body block creeps or enemies to impede their movement. If I want to maximize the amount of farm on the map for my allies, I can aggro a camp of neutral creeps before the minute mark. Then, because they're not inside the camp's perimeter when the game checks to see if it can spawn more neutrals, the game will spawn additional creeps, and the result will be a stacked camp that my carry will thank me for later. These are just two of the more basic tactics that you can employ when playing. Dota is full of critical timings to exploit and rife with potential mind games that you can play with your opponents. When you're not busy playing the game, you can spend time adorning your favorite heroes in a variety of cosmetics. I hesitate to reveal how much I've spent on this game over the years, but I've genuinely enjoyed supporting Valve and the artists who have contributed to this amazing and free game. Playing matches will periodically reward you with lesser cosmetics, but you can also take part in seasonal events with plenty of free content. I spent hours this summer completing Crownfall quests and playing its minigames, and almost every major questline culminated in some ornate attire for a random hero. Enjoy a little window shopping at least to see all that the shops have to offer. Their selections are more extensive than expensive. Earlier, I mentioned that I would discuss some recommended resources for learning or for entertainment. The game client itself has an incredible demo mode where you can experiment with every hero, every item, and run all sorts of tests. This is where I practice a hero before playing it in a match, and where I compare the efficacy of different skill builds and item builds. Back when I played ranked matchmaking, I would frequently review my own replays as well. The website Liquipedia is the most comprehensive compilation of all things Dota. Use this to read about hero abilities, review in-depth mechanics, keep track of tournaments, and more. I keep a tab open for the Dota Buff website to assess my matches at a glance and to keep track of what heroes are experiencing success in the current meta. If you find yourself losing frequently on a particular hero, you might want to check the hero's win rates, item builds, and how it fares against other heroes. Maybe you've been playing it incorrectly, or maybe it's underwhelming in this gameplay patch. There are far too many YouTube channels for me to mention, but a couple that have provided exceptional educational content are Pain Dota and Adrian. Both of these players are incredibly skilled, and their information should prove valuable to everyone up to the highest levels of the game. Dato Leon combines skill and creativity to showcase amusing ways to make certain heroes seem overpowered. For game recaps and highlight packs from all major tournaments, check out a channel like Noob from UA. Finally, I'd like to close out this video by emphasizing how much fun it's been getting back into Dota with my friends. A bunch of us returned from lengthy hiatuses shortly before Valve introduced facets to the game, which are options to further customize your hero for the duration of the match. Pudge, the most popular hero in Dota, quickly became a new favorite of mine because of this Flayer's Hook facet. With it, thrown hooks travel further, and more damage is dealt to the afflicted hero as it gets pulled towards Pudge. I cannot wait for nights when a few of my friends are available and I get to strike fear in the hearts of 5 other humans as I throw hooks towards them from beyond their vision. If you and your friends have been interested in trying Dota, then now is the time. What I discussed is just the tip of the iceberg, but I hope that I did enough to at least pique your interest. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section and I'll be sure to answer. If you're already a Dota player and you have further recommendations, don't hesitate to leave those in the comments section as well. Thank you to everybody who watched this far. Good luck and have fun in your games.